On a cold night in 2015, a car veers off the road. It plunges into a river under a bridge, and inside that overturned, half-submerged vehicle, a young mother lay trapped in the driver's seat. In the back, strapped in a car seat hanging upside down, surrounded by icy water, was her 18-month-old daughter, barely hanging alive. It was only 14 hours later when nearby police heard a voice shouting for help from the car. But when they opened the door, they realized that voice they just heard, according to every rule of logic, should have never existed. W101.3, I'm Hans, and welcome back to my Hollow Guys. If you're new here, we broadcast supernatural mysteries and things that just have no explanation, so if that sounds like your thing, subscribe because we air once a week every Wednesday. Or more, honestly. Alright, let's get right into the story. On the night of March 6, 2015, Jenny Grosbeck wasn't doing anything unusual. She was just driving home. Earlier that evening, Jenny had been visiting family. It was a really normal night. There were no distress calls or reported arguments that anything was wrong. At some point late in the night though, Jenny places her 18-month-old daughter, Lily, into her car seat, buckles her in, and begins the drive home. The route she takes runs alongside the Spanish Fork River. It's a stretch of road locals knew very well not to go into the dark in. It's super limited visibility at night. There's also no street lights along certain paths of the road. Now at some unknown moment, the car drifted off the roadway. The vehicle struck a barrier, rolled, and plunged down into the river below. No one saw it happen. The impact flips the car upside down as it enters the water. The river rushes over it, partially submerging the cabin and pinning the vehicle against the riverbed. From the road above, the wreck is almost impossible to see, especially at night. And inside the car, the outcome is just devastating. Jenny Grosbeck lays bloody, yet still strapped in her seat, not moving. But in the back seat, by some miracle of God, Lily Grosbeck, just 18 months old, remains strapped into her car seat, but barely conscious. For the next 14 hours, the vehicle sits undiscovered. That means no missing person report is filed for that whole night, and no calls come in from anyone passing by. The traffic moves along the road above without noticing what lay below. Inside the overturned car, both hang upside down, suspended just above the rising water line. But it turns out baby Lily has luck on her side. An extremely rare combination of factors allows her to survive the deadly situation. Just when the car slammed into the river, the seat somehow landed in such a way that prevents immediate drowning, because an air pocket formed inside the cabin, giving Lily vital access to her oxygen. Meanwhile, the cold water plunged Lily into a form of hibernation, a state of hypothermia that slowed her metabolism, reduced her oxygen demand, but just not cold enough to actually kill her. It wasn't until the next day in the afternoon that someone finally notices it. A fisherman walking along the Spanish Fork River spots something unnatural poking out from the surface of the water. As he moves closer, the shape becomes unmistakable. There, crumpled on all sides, was a totaled red car, with no one inside, at least to him. I mean guys, you can't blame him. The windows were dusty and the mess made it really hard to see inside. He immediately contacts the authorities about the wrecked vehicle, and when police arrive on scene, they approach the riverbank believing this would be a recovery operation. I mean, the vehicle had been underwater overnight, temperatures dropped way below freezing, and by all accounts, no one expects a survivor. But as officers move closer to the edge of the river, one sound changes everything. Multiple officers later report the same unsettling detail. As they approach the submerged vehicle, they hear a voice. A calm human voice saying something like, "Help me, help me." All the police officers agree this was a calm yet firm tone. Now this moment is critical because none of the officers are speaking to one another when they're hearing this voice. They don't know a child is inside either, and according to their statements, the voice did not sound like an infant. It sounded adult. Realizing someone may be inside the car, still alive, officers immediately rush into the river. What was originally a car retrieval protocol turns into this urgent life-saving operation. These police body camera footage captures what happened next.
Come on, keep listening. Come on, Daddy.
As they wade into this freezing water, they're fighting the current. They end up stabilizing the overturned vehicle and they yell back out. But whoever yelled "help me" didn't yell back.
You can make contact with Dennis.
I'm not seeing any movement.
When they finally open the car door, they find the two upside down.
Here, pass her up, pass her up. Pass her up. Go.
Now, baby Lily is cold and unconscious, but still alive.
Come on, baby. She's definitely hypothermic. She's freezing.
Emergency responders slowly turn her upside up because they have to make sure not to rush the blood too quickly to her head and begin life-saving measures as she's transported to the hospital.
What do you need? Suction.
Suction.
Another officer waits to the driver's side, rescuing the person who was probably screaming for help, the mother. When he opens the door, Mother Jenny Grosbeck is unresponsive. There are no signs of life in her face. In fact, she had been dead for hours. Medical examiners would later determine she died sometime during the night, either from the injury she sustained in the impact or drowning shortly afterward. But as the reality of what they've just witnessed begins to sink in, one question lingers in the minds of the rescuers. If the mother died around 14 hours ago and the baby could not speak, who was the voice that called for help? Let's assess what we already know. There is official police body camera footage from the rescue, later released to the public. It shows officers entering the river, struggling against the water, like we said, and extracting the child from the overturned vehicle. The footage confirms this timeline. It confirms the condition of the vehicle. It also confirms Lily was alive when officers reached her. It does not clearly capture what is the voice. Because if you listen to the video, the audio is really chaotic. There's all this rushing water, there's movement, heavy breathing. There's just no clean, isolated moment where you can hear like a distinct voice be objectively said on the tape. So what remains are the officers' statements. Multiple responders, independently by the way, reported hearing what they believed was a human voice calling for help before they assessed the vehicle. And importantly, those statements were not retracted, even after learning that the mother was deceased. The officers stood by what they experienced. And this puts this case in a rare category. The physical evidence explains the survival, but the sensory experience does not. The most commonly suggested explanation is also the most emotionally charged, that the voice belonged to the mother, Jenny Grosbeck. In the final moments after death, the mother somehow made one last effort, not to save herself, but to guide help to her child. Stories like this exist across lots of cultures, and they're often called crisis apparitions, reports of communication occurring at or near the moment of death, usually involving intense emotional bonds. Think parents, children, loved ones. This is not a verifiable scientific mechanism, but emergency responders, hospice workers, all have documented cases, thousands actually, of these same moments where people report voices or visions or sensations tied to someone who had just died. This interpretation doesn't rely on ghosts, but it relies on the idea that human consciousness may not end as cleanly as we assume. But skeptics aren't buying that one. Instead, they have evidence for something else. Their first explanation is something called auditory misperception. Under extreme stress, the human brain is capable of remarkable and unreliable things. Rushing water can sound like speech. The brain can fill in meaning where none exists. This is a documented psychological phenomenon, especially in high adrenaline rescue scenarios. And in this explanation, the officers didn't hear a voice. Maybe they interpreted environmental noise as one. But there lies a problem with this. Multiple officers reported hearing the exact same thing, "help me," independently before discussing it. Auditory illusions typically vary person to person, but this one didn't. Another rational theory from skeptics suggests the sound came from Lily herself, but this one I don't think has really any weight to it. Because Lily was 18 months old, she was hypothermic, she was unconscious, and officers described the voice as an adult, not a cry, not like a whimper, a baby sound. That explanation just fits really poorly with the facts. The third possibility is environmental sound distortion, and sound can travel very unpredictably over water. Voices from far away can appear a lot closer. Echoes can lose their original direction. But all of this pins on the fact that there had to be another voice in the distance. But no one else was present at the scene aside from the officers. None of the conventional explanations fully account for what the officers described. That doesn't mean the answer is supernatural, but it does mean the explanation is incomplete. It's at this point where logic reaches its end, that the case stops being just a rescue story and becomes something more supernatural entirely. In paranormal research, there's a concept known as residual haunting. It's the idea that extreme emotional events can leave an imprint on an environment. It's kind of like replaying a brief recording over and over again. And in this framing, the voice wasn't Jenny asking for help, it was an echo of her final moments. It appears repeatedly in cases involving sudden death and extreme fear. But some have suggested that the voice was neither mother nor child, but a guardian angel, something intervening when no human should have survived. None of these explanations can tie all the strings together. A voice was heard, a child survives, but the mother does not. And between these facts lies a gap that I don't think science has yet closed. Whether the gap is psychological, environmental, or something we just don't understand yet, and that's where it still stays a decade later. Tell me what you think happened. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Was the voice that was heard the mother's spirit trying to save her baby? Was it stress? Was it sound distortion? Or maybe a guardian angel? If that voice hadn't been heard, would baby Lily still be alive today? Some would say Mother Jenny would still be alive in another universe, which, if you want to hear about true cases of people entering a parallel universe, I got you covered with this episode. That's all for today's broadcast. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, have a horrible sleep.